Hey everybody, it's Mark again. Today we got something special to show you. I always wanted one of these clocks, but um, I never wanted to pay the price that they go for. Um, my friend had it, and because I go help him out all the time working on his clocks, um, he gave it to me uh, for helping him out, and because it was my birthday. So let's show you what it is. This is what's known as a shell cuckoo clock. It's made by Hubert Herr. It's not as old as others, but still they go for quite a bit of money. It's missing a minute hand and the nut, so I'm gonna have to come up with a minute hand and a nut. And but let me show you the insides. Here's the insides of the clock. It has this little bitty pendulum on it. The clock does tick away. There's this lever right here, which I have no idea what that lever is for. It's not a silent lever, as there's no slot in the side of the case on either side. But because it's a Hubert Herr, you have this thing on the door on the side, a switch on the side that you're supposed to be able to trip the cuckoo. It might be in warning. Let me see if I can turn the hands. The levers need adjusted some. But I'm going to go ahead and take it apart and give it a drop or two of oil and put it all back together. Of course, the first thing you want to do is take the hands off, and since there's only one hand, and remove the cuckoo bird from the door if you're going to take the movement out. Bending the wire at about a 90-degree, removing it from the staple. The bird comes loose from the door. Now we want to take the bellows out. There's two screws, so I'm going to continue taking the bellows out. Both the bellows are out. They both sound pretty good. There's no damage to the Tyvek material. They both have this kind of weight on them. Now I got to take there's 5 screws to get the movement out. 2 on top, 2 on the bottom, and 1 on the side here. So let me take those out. Now I have the movement out, and I noticed that with a typical Hubert Herr movement, you press this lever on the side, it trips the cuckoo, but not with this movement. This doesn't look like it has anything to do with tripping the cuckoo, because it has a rack and snail movement. And the only thing that trips the cuckoo is when the rack stop lever gets out of the way to allow it to count the cuckoo, the strikes. So this has nothing to do with it, and I still don't know what this lever here is for. So maybe somebody could tell me what this lever is for, unless it is to stop the clock from ticking, because with this lever pushed over enough, it can't tick. The movement looks fairly clean. I'm just seeing if it works when I trip it. Something is stopping it. Might need a bushing on the strike side. Trying to figure out what's stopping it. The only thing that this wire here is for is to push out the bird. Why there's a access panel on the side, it might be to oil the movement. A lot of people think that those access panels is to oil the movement. I have to disagree, because you can't get to the front of the movement with the access panels on the side. I think this wire was too close to the bird wire, because I pulled it away, and now when I move the lever, it strikes. I think it's still too close. It also might be that the fan is too tight. Watch it. When it gets done striking, the fan doesn't rotate whatsoever. And if the fan is too tight, as it goes to strike, it has to have a little bit of play in it. So as it goes to strike, it allows that momentum to get going. Before you could figure out what is wrong with the movement, you have to understand how the movement works. And when I trip this lever, it should go into warning. The third wheel warning pin should move away from this tab. Let me get something to point with. The third wheel warning pin, when the clock is done cuckooing, hits this tab on the rack stop lever. And when the clock goes into warning, the third wheel warning pin should bypass this tab and hit the tab that's on the lift lock lever until the minute hand has gone past out of warning. And with me moving this, that should allow the third wheel with warning pin to move, but it doesn't. And I don't know if you can see what's wrong, but we're going to discuss a clock going into warning. This is a Hubert Herr also. It's got some issues, but it'll work for the purpose of this video. Now, on this wheel right here, which would be the... Here's a great wheel, second wheel. Maybe the third wheel with warning pin is always next to the governor pin. So I'm going to call this the fourth wheel maybe. And when I turn it, you're going to be able to see a tab. This tab right here. This tab right here is what lifts this lever here to lock underneath this post. You can tell it's a Hubert Herr movement because of this setup right here. Hubert Herr is the only company that I'm aware of that uses this setup right here. When the clock goes into warning, and I'm gonna, right now it's done cuckooing, third wheel warning pin is hitting this tab on the rack stop lever. I'm gonna move this out of the way, put some pressure on it. Now the third wheel warning pin is hitting this tab on the lift lock lever until it the minute hand continues to rotate. I don't have all the gears on this, so I'm just showing you what it does. But as you can see, the ply is turning. This lever right here is locked into position by this rod, which is also what trips the cuckoo. But I don't have this bent enough to trip the cuckoo. When it's done cuckooing, this portion of the rack stop lever is going to hit that rod, which will allow the clock to allow the cuckoo to come back in the door. And for the purpose of time, I don't know if you've seen it or not, it hit that lever and this came out. I'm going to do it one more time so you can see it. The cuckoo comes out. This lever is this underneath this rod. When it's done cuckooing, this is going to hit that rod just like that, and you'll see the cuckoo come out just like that. And do it one more time for you. Pay attention to here and here. I'm going to hit that rod. It allowed the cuckoo to come back in the door. Same way when it's done cuckooing, it does the same thing. But again, there's this tab right here on the fourth wheel or whatever wheel that would be called, and that is the only thing that moves this lever into position. There's no spring on it or anything like that. The spring that's on the cuckoo is what brings the cuckoo back inside. But it also moves this lever out of the way when this is hit. Again, the spring that's on the cuckoo is what brings this lever off of this rod whenever it's done cuckooing. So let's get back to this movement. The reason why this movement is not working, the governor pin is hitting that piece right here that falls underneath this rod. The governor pin has moved on me, and I have to put it back in place. As you can see, it's hitting this piece right here. The governor pin is not supposed to be hitting that piece that goes underneath that rod. The governor pin is slid too far forward. So now, when I trip this, it should start cuckooing. As you can see, it's cuckooing. In recap, when the clock goes into warning, the third wheel warning pin bypasses this tab and it hits the lift lock lever tab. And as the hands continue to rotate, it will drop the lift lock lever, which in turn will allow the third wheel with warning pin to move. I think I have to move this cam some, because when I rotate the minute hand, it's taken one complete revolution to make this thing strike. But this rod right here is what this lever right here goes underneath. When the clock goes to cuckoo, when it's done cuckooing, this lever hits that lever, which allows the cuckoo bird to come back in the door. So now, like I said, I'm going to have to adjust this cam, I believe. And I'm going to do that off camera. I adjusted the gathering cam, the Pac-Man. This tab right here was over here before. Now it's over here. So before, it would take one complete revolution of the minute hand in order for it to strike. Now watch. It's going into warning. Third wheel warning pin is up here. It's gone into warning about 10 minutes till the hour. It strikes. I was looking at the minute hand. It's dropping. You see that? There's no tension on the system, but I think that is what the nut is for. Once you put the nut on, it puts tension on the system. For the old Countwell cuckoo clocks, they would have a tension washer underneath the minute wheel with minute pinion. One more time. 10 minutes till the hour, it's going to go into warning. On the hour, it strikes. And the whole issue, well, there's two issues. One, this cam was in the wrong spot. And two, this band assembly was too close to the plate, which was hitting this, looks like a broken wrench to me. I don't know if you could see it, but it looks like a broken open end wrench. You should be able to see it right there. I'm moving it. But it goes underneath this rod when it's cuckooing. And then when it's done cuckooing, this lever hits that rod, which allows the cuckoo to go back inside. It's time to put this back in. I got to put the rest of the parts on the rack, and I want to make sure it's cuckooing 12 times versus 13 times and stuff like that. So I'm going to do a function test, and then I'll put it back in the case. I still don't know exactly what this lever here is for. The only thing that I could even think of, and I don't know why they would put it on there, is to prevent the clock from ticking. Maybe for shipping purposes. I have no idea. Hopefully one of y'all can tell me what this black lever is for. And no, it's not a nighttime shut-off lever. I don't know what it's for. Never seen one on a movement. But again, this is my first Hubert Herr shelf. This is my first shelf cuckoo clock. So I got the movement back in the case after adjusting the gong and the low note lift lever. The low note lift lever, when it was done cuckooing, was sharing the same space as the gong. So I had to take the movement apart. Whoever put this movement together didn't put it together right, but and I have to adjust these levers some more. The wire is touching the bird's tail. You don't want that. When it's done cuckooing, if the wire is touching the bird's tail, it will have trouble activating, I guess you could say it is. But I still have some more adjustments to do. The levers are not quite bent properly. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but the high note and low note lift arms, the very end is touching this low note lift bellow. And not all the time. And there, it's touching it. So, not that much. I'm going to grind the corner edge off of the low note lift bellow and see if that works. As you can see, it's cuckooing without the low note lift bellow in it. so I ground some of it off. That way it's not hitting. Well, hopefully it won't hit. It's acting more like it's supposed to. And while we're here, I want to talk about this bellow. You see how this bellow looks like it's got like a blown tire? Whoever made it bolted it wrong. And I have a video on repairing bellows, and it shows you how to bolt it. But if you don't bolt it right, this Tyvek material will take shape. It has a memory, and this wire is eventually gonna wear out this bellow because it's constantly hitting it. Where this bellow was made properly and it's not blown out and the wire is not hitting the main portion of the bellow. I thought that I had corrected it, but I was wrong. A lot of times you can bolt them like they're supposed to and put a rubber band over the bellow and keeping it closed for a day or two. Well, I kept it closed for a day. It probably need to be 2 or 3 days to get the memory the way it should be. But this clock is about ready to find a set of hands for it and put it all back together. The problem is, because it's a Hubert Herr movement, I don't have the proper nut for the Hubert Herr. And I told you I was at a video store here a while back trying to find the proper nut for the Hubert Herr, but not a video store, but I was at Menards here a while back trying to find the proper nuts for Hubert Herr. I think they're metric. Time Savers and a few other companies supposed to sell nuts for Hubert Herr. I've ordered them. They don't always work. And some companies say out of stock. So it's not one of those things that you can just easily pick up. So I looked through my hands and nuts and came up with these hands, and I did have a set of Hubert Herr nuts. The nut that goes on the mini hand and what I call a decorative nut, but this nut also serves a purpose. I'm not going to tighten it up. I don't know what. You see how the hand comes back down? Well, this decorative nut is also used to keep the hand from coming back down. You see that? So if you tighten it up too much, it might not serve its purpose. These hands were used, but they will work. Speaking of used hands, see how big these hands are? Well, they just broke on me, but the ring on this hour hand is huge. Somebody soldered it once before, but, and here's the minute hand. That thing would go in a huge clock. It came in a box stuff that I got at an auction. But anyway, the clock is working now. I hope y'all like this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And may God bless each and every one of you. Hubert Herr, shelf style cuckoo clock. It's a newer clock. I'm not for sure exactly the age on it. I'm going to ask a group expert of mine. If I was to estimate, I would say somewhere around 1980, 1990. Again, I don't know. When you go to eBay and search for Hubert Herr shelf cuckoo clock, nothing comes up. But here's an example of a cuckoo clock, a shelf cuckoo clock. Of course, this one's antique. It's sold for it's a 1880, sold for $780, then another $134 in shipping. If I can get it to come up. It's a beautiful clock. This is an Alexander Puig shelf cuckoo clock. You can tell it's an Alexander Puig because there's a silhouette of a house. Now, I have an Alexander Puig cuckoo clock. It's my biggest cuckoo clock. This is a shelf cuckoo clock, and they used a silhouette of a house. My cuckoo clock doesn't have the silhouette, but it's weight driven, and it has AF down at the bottom. But it is a beautiful clock. Bone hands, very old, beautiful. It's $1,000 clock. I think it should have went for more than $1,000. Now here's another shelf cuckoo clock. It's a Fusey. It's sold for about $550. Again, it's a It's a nice clock. It's a basic clock. If I can get my computer to operate right. There's a picture of the movement showing that it's a Pusey. Probably pre-1900. It's got a pen movement. I'm surprised it only sold for $550. I don't know what happened. This clock sold for $780 plus $135 in shipping. This looks like the exact same clock that sold 2 weeks earlier. It is the exact same clock, $135 in shipping, being sold by the same people. I guess somebody backed out of the deal, I'm not for sure. But that's more like it. Selling for $1,035. Another beautiful shelf cuckoo clock. Of course, mine is nothing like this one. And it sold for $3,000. I know who got this clock. That is an animation clock. Soldiers move. Another beautiful clock that sold for about $600. Again, it's a shelf style cuckoo clock. I don't think this one would fit on a shelf, but it's a spring driven clock. Let's see if I can see a picture of the movement. Beautiful. Spring driven, not Pusey driven. Pen movement. Again, I'm going to estimate prior to 1900. These are the ones that are currently for sale on eBay. Beautiful clock. Bone hands. Wooden plate movement that is spring driven. I think it's missing something. Or that could be connected. Yeah, that's connected to the, I'm not for sure. That just looks kind of strange to me. But it looks like it's connected to the pendulum leader. Here's one that is extremely beautiful. Selling for $4,800. Cuckoo quail. Shelf-driven clock. That's why it's selling for $4,800. Another one, double fusee. They're saying it was made around 1890, selling for $2,200 plus $145 in shipping. Beautiful clock. Wooden plate movement. Here's another one that's for sale for $535. Looks similar to the one that we seen earlier. $83 in shipping. Wooden plate movement. Definitely older than my clock. And that's all the ones that I see for sale on eBay. So you don't see them that often for sale. And when you do, they're more expensive than what I'm willing to pay. But I need to correct myself. I told you my friend gave me the clock. He did give me the clock in a way. I paid him $100 for the clock. He bought it for less. My friend is really lucky at buying clocks. Very blessed. But the clock is worth more than what I paid for it. So he did give me the clock. Anyway, I hope y'all like this video. It's a very interesting clock. I misplaced the part that goes to the pendulum. It's on my desk somewhere. So I got to find that to get it ticking away. So I know it's been a while since I did a video. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I've been working on my Groner clock. It's got some issues. It seems like the Virgin crutch assembly is lifting up at times. It might need a bushing. I'm not for sure. I'm still trying to figure it out. But stick around for my next video. Don't know what it's going to be, but I'm sure some people might enjoy it. And may God bless each and every one of you.